What's up? What's up? Hello orchid fans, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Gintare, and today we've got to repot a couple plants. So I've got two plants to repot. One of them is my Dendrochilum Wenzelii. It's pushing so many new growths. It's quite difficult to see, but there is about 10 or 12 growths in different stages. I wonder if maybe some of them are actually spikes. I have no idea because it's so difficult to see, you know, they're all looking very narrow and tall. So I really don't know until they kind of start splitting and opening as a leaf. You know, it could be both, but it's been in the spot a while. You can see the roots on it are just absolutely crazy, and they no longer fit in the pot. So when these new growths, you know, when they start pushing out their roots, they won't have anywhere to go. And I mean, the plant is literally just crawling out of the pot. So this one needs to come out. This pot is rock solid, you guys. There is just so many roots in here. So this needs to come out. And you can see it's also potted in seedling bark, and you see how wet I'm keeping it. So there is no water reservoir here all the time, or most of the time, and this bark is always in contact with water, so it goes off a lot quicker than it would if it was getting like wedge-eye cycles. So yeah, I want to get this out of bark and into leca so that I can actually have a water reservoir to keep up with the orchid's needs, and I will be a lot kind of happier when I know that leca is not gonna go off and start damaging my roots. So that's this one. And the next one is Psychopsis Mariposa Philips. It is actually in bloom. Let me see if I can show you. So I've got one flower open, and I've got another one developing as well. So you can see it is in bud, and the bud looks really good. And you might think, what are you doing? Why are you repotting the plant in bloom? The thing is, these are sequential bloomers, and they can actually bloom for years to come. So I don't know, this is just what I've heard, you know, and what I've kind of read on the internet, so it's obviously might not be right, but I'll let you know, guys, you know, how long mine is blooming. So at the moment it's not been in bloom for too long. It opened its first bloom I think around maybe May time, and it's beginning of July just now, so it's only been a couple months. But I can see that both of these spikes are developing their new buds behind, you know, the current blooms. So you know, these spikes are not going anywhere. I've also got a new growth tucked right here. As always, of course, my lighting sucks, so but you can see the new growth right here, which will, you know, send off new roots, and they won't have space. And I also have a new growth right here. So I think it's a new growth. It could be a spike, but I'm pretty sure it's a new growth. I find it very difficult to know on this Psychopsis if it's a spike or a new growth until it kind of develops a little bit more. So again, the roots on here are pretty good. You can see they are going down in the pot. Some of them are coming out of the pot. The pot doesn't look too bad, you know, not as bad as Wenzelii, but you see at the top of the pot there are so many roots here. And again, this plant quite likes to stay moist for a long time, so you can see it's already kind of climbing up, because I just wasn't able to push it down into the pot deep enough, because it just had so many roots. I have a feeling that some of these roots would have failed, so I will be able to cut off quite a few, but I also prepared some pots, and a lot bigger than this one, so we will be able to actually pot it into something more comfortable for this orchid. So let's start with this one, because my plan is this Wenzelii is a 9 centimeter pot and this is 11 centimeter pot. So I'm thinking to put this Wenzelii into this pot once the Psychopsis is out of it. So but obviously for me to be able to do that, I need to get this Psychopsis out of here and then clean the pot. So let's see how it goes. As far as I know, these Psychopsis orchids don't like repots at all. And again, that's another reason why I wanted to repot this into leca, because at the moment it's in seedling bark, and this bark, you know, will go off very soon. To be honest, I think it's maybe already kind of on its way out. Again, this orchid stays pretty much moist the whole time, so you know the bark doesn't have the chance to dry up, and that is not what this bark likes. So let me just try and gently pull it out without losing too many roots that are outside the pot. Some I will lose, I can already see, because it's just so tight in there. There is no space for them to come through inside the pot, you know, for them to then come out through the top of the pot. So let me see if I can actually just get some of this bark out. So you can see on this one, I actually had leca layer, the bottom layer of leca, to kind of allow, you know, for the water reservoir to be at the bottom of the pot without the bark kind of sitting in water all the time. But do you see how wet this is? Yeah, it always stays like that, you know, it is always quite moist in there and quite wet, so this bark never really has the chance to dry out completely. I mean, Psychopsis, obviously it's loving it, because you can see how well it's growing, and I only got this plant in January this year, so about 6 months ago, and I basically got 2 new growths. So when I got it, it came with a new growth which developed and pushed out a spike, and there was a spike developing on another growth which is now also blooming, so that's why I've got 2 spikes. And so the new growth that grew a spike for me, it's now pushing this new growth which is a bit more mature, and the other suitable that had a spike developing when I got it, it's pushing out this tiny new growth that I showed you at the beginning. So you know, the roots are developing really well here as well, so it does seem to be liking this setup and this kind of constant moisture. So yeah, I'll just put it aside for now. Here we are. So the next one, my Wenzelii, gosh, this is just a solid mass. This tag, I mean, I can't, oh, I think I'll be able to pull it out. Here we are. I got this orchid from Wichmann Orchideen nursery in Germany. I must have got it around July time last year, so I had it for a year, and I mean, look at that guy. I already repotted it at least once, if not twice already, so you know, I would have repotted it as I got it, and then I potted it up again in this bark, because previously I had just like a orchid potting mix from the garden center, and it had soil in it and it just didn't seem like the best media. So yeah, let me just try and get some of this bark from the top out, and hopefully it will give me a little bit more room for the other roots to kind of squeeze up, so I can actually pull it out of the pot. This orchid is not very, it doesn't like growing its roots in the air. So I should have actually checked before I did this video whether it's kind of semi-terrestrial. I don't think it is though. I think it is an epiphyte, but it just doesn't seem to want to grow roots in the air. And you can see even like there is holes in the pot, and the roots are not going out. of the pot. They want to stay in the pot. They want to be inside where the media is and where the moisture is. So and again, you know, I potted in seedling bark, and yeah, I just want to, oh gosh, that was scary. Yeah, and I think I'm gonna put it in leca, maybe even small leca balls, so that it's got loads of moisture, just like it is now. But you know, it's not gonna go off, so it will be able to stay there for a couple years. So yeah, let me try and tease this bark out. Okay, so I think this is as much as I'm gonna do just now. Again, I'll put it under the tap and try and wash more of these, more of that bark out, and we'll see where we get to. I do want to try and kind of get as much bark out of here as possible, you know, because if I want to put them in leca, then I'd like to just have as few pieces of bark as possible in here, because yeah, they will go off in here, and plus because these are such small pieces, you know, it's already on its kind of way out, I think. So so yeah, I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I finally got my roots kind of washed out of the bark. This one was just a nightmare. I mean, it's so difficult to get the bark out, but I think, you know, you can see it's looking pretty good. So that's one. I'll put this one aside, and let's maybe get the Psychopsis repotted first. So my Psychopsis, and the blooms are still here, you know, both spikes made it so far. So this one, I just want to tidy it up a little bit first. So to begin with, I got this small leaf here, which the pseudobulb was actually all the way in the root mass, but I had a look at the pseudobulb, but it is still nice and green. So even though it does sit in the media, it's not rotting at all. But the leaf, you see, it's not looking too good, and it is the oldest leaf on this plant. You can see it's got this black mark in the middle as well. So I want to pull this off, and let's see. Do you know, it's actually coming off with the whole pseudobulb, which is fine. It is the oldest pseudobulb as well, so not a big deal. Because I want these roots here to actually be able to go down into the media, because they were just kind of sitting on top of this leaf. So let me just cut these black roots here. Okay, so I've got 3 choices of pots, and I've got two 12 centimeter pots. One of them is no holes, the other one has holes in it. So I'm thinking maybe if I go with 12 centimeter pot, maybe with no holes, given that it's semi-hydro, or, you know, inorganic media with kind of self-watering setup. So I think this might actually be okay. It should have enough room for roots for a couple more years. The next option would be, so this is 13 centimeter pot, but that looks like really big, doesn't it? I think this is too big, and plus I don't have anything without holes, I only have one with holes, so I'm thinking to go with this one. So I'll just put a little bit of leca at the bottom. I'm just using my kind of regular leca. So yeah, I'll just use regular size leca rather than, you know, just small leca. Again, it's just because it's bigger pot, no holes, so it should keep the humidity up. I'll maybe put the smaller pieces of leca on top. That's my Psychopsis repotted. So I've got my microfiber through, and you can see there is probably some gaps in there, but I try to kind of, you know, get as much leca in there as possible without kind of being too radical. I do think I probably damaged some roots, but hopefully once I kind of start watering it, and, you know, the leca will start finding its place, and then I can, you know, always just add more leca if I need to. So my Wenzelii, yeah, I want to, I mean, look at these roots, like they're all fresh and all new, or at least they look like it. I mean, they are all very fleshy and very much alive, which I am really surprised at. I mean, there is not, like, even in the middle, there is no dead roots. So how am I gonna trim it? You know, I don't want to just cut away perfectly good roots, but I really need to thin this down because, you know, they're just, I won't be able to even put leca in. So I think I'm just gonna cut some of this top layer, which I know is the newest root, so it's not the best thing to do, but I really just want to thin this down somehow. Let me see if I can get in the middle and cut the roots from the middle. Yeah, I think I will use this 11 centimeter pot that Psychopsis was in. So the problem with this pot is that it's very, it's quite shallow. So you see, like, this pot basically looks like it's full of roots already. So will I not have to repot this in 6 months' time again if I use this pot? What about the 12 centimeter pot? See, I like that much better. There is just a lot more space in here for the plant to grow. So I will obviously push it up a bit, but I think it will have a lot more space in here. Let's try and get this to sit in the middle. Oh, this is gonna be a nightmare to put the leca in. I can already see there is barely any gaps. So yeah, that's it, in a much bigger pot now, but I think it will enjoy it. I think it will want the space to try and kind of, you know, push those new roots in there, and hopefully we can get some blooms from this one. Okay, so both in 12 centimeter pots now, and yeah, I really hope they will do okay now. They do like constant moisture, so hopefully that leca will accommodate that, will provide this. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you guys updated, and I will show these off in my monthly updates as well, but I will do a separate video to show how the repots have affected them. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me and for staying with me if you're still here. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!